All right, hello everybody. I hope you're ready to meet Heather. She's a kindergarten teacher who's also a travel enthusiast. Heather's been a kindergartner teacher in public schools for 14 years, but she's not only a teacher, she's a traveler and an adventurer. So, without further ado, hello, Heather, and can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so I am a public school teacher. I have been teaching kindergarten for about 14 years now. And before that, I taught fifth grade. So I went, very extreme from fifth grade to kindergarten. I also teach online through Outschool. I enjoy traveling. That's definitely my biggest hobby and my passion. So I also have started a new side gig, travel agent on the side. I'm just trying to bring together all the things that I love to do.
So many different hats. That's so cool. So how did you kind of get your start teaching online?
I started teaching online after COVID.
Okay.
When COVID first started, we were in school, and all of a sudden, we were not in school anymore. So it was March that year, and we tried to finish the year out by teaching online, and it was very different. Nobody knew what this should look like, what we should do. Everything was it was up in uproar. I mean, the whole world was in a panic. But I don't know. There's something about teaching kindergarten, like everything's extra.
Yeah.
You got to be extra. So we were really like putting ourselves out there, and our parents didn't know, like, what is Zoom? What is this all about? How do we download this? So we were recording videos. We had Facebook groups with our families, and we were recording stories to read to the kids, a bedtime story every day. We were doing assignments online. We were doing live Zoom meetings with them in their house. And at that time, that was like, oh, what is this? So when I realized, oh, I can do this. Now I have experience. It leads into the next school year when we were almost the whole school year virtual teaching. And it looked very different from the beginning of the pandemic. Once school started in August and we were virtual, we had a lot more guidelines from our school district and things that we were expected to do. And we were a lot more comfortable with what we were doing. So we actually went into work and we were teaching live from our own classrooms,
Oh, so you
trying to
went to
make it.
your classroom? So you still
I
had to
went,
go into the class. The kids were
oh,
at
yes,
home.
yes, the kids are at home. I'm like, hey guys, here's your classroom. There's your desk. Nobody's in it. But yeah, I tried to have a certain number of scheduled meetings during the day. We would do a story. We would do our reading lesson. We would do a math lesson. Just as much like we could, make it like they were at school. Try to keep them engaged, but they're five.
Oh,
They're five. They've never sat down and done school on the computer. Their parents didn't know what was happening. So it was very, very challenging. But that was the first of the hoops we had to jump through. And after we got comfortable, we got in a routine, it was smooth sailing. Like our administration was like, wow, you guys are doing awesome. We're like, yeah, because we're extra. So once I realized it was something that I could do, and the kids were learning. I mean, no, it wasn't the best possible scenario. We would rather have them in person, let's do all our hands-on activities. It wasn't exactly the same, but we made the best we could of it. And from there, that's when I got onto, maybe I could teach online. I know what to do. So that's kind of what led me to Outschool.
excellent. Yeah, it sounds like an interesting little journey from doing this physical, forced to do it online, and then enjoying the online enough.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we kind of like this. Yeah.
I get mixed results. Like some teachers, like yourself, loved it. Some, like my sister, hated it.
Yeah.
But she's high school AP stuff. I mean, it's a totally different monster.
Yeah. And
And
I mean, honestly, you know, there's no replacement for a full day in school on a computer. You know what I mean? Like there's no comparison to having a kids in person a full school day or on the computer doing work. There's, it's not the same, but we did the best that we could. We want them to get their education. We wanted them to learn. So we, jumped through some major hoops. We really did. We were putting together each week. We would put together paper materials and things like in a packet. Every Friday, they would pick it up for the following week. So we did some prep work for it. So they had materials at home. And, like in class, we would use sand trays to learn about their letters and sounds. So at home, we were telling their parents, get a paper plate, put some salt on there. That's their sand tray. So,
Wow.
really had to make do with a lot of those things. But we figured it out. We went through, a lot of things. And that really helped me when it came time for me to teach on Outschool. I was like, I know what to do. I know exactly what I want to teach. I know what to tell the parents. And, it's really worked out for me.
Excellent. Yeah, that seems like it's a good preparation for that because yeah, you do have to start working with parents. I mean, I work with the kids in China for the most part, so it's a little different. But I still have to work with the parents, find out their expectations. Do you do solo one-on-one type classes? Do you do group classes? A little bit of both?
So I do a little of both. When I first started with Outschool, what I had seen, I was following someone on Instagram. That's how I even got started. I saw this girl who was teaching online, and she was a teacher, and she decided to be a stay-at-home mom with her kids, but she still wanted to teach. And I was like, okay, can I just do both? I need more money. So I kind of started watching what she was doing, and I started checking out Outschool. And I was like, okay, it seems like these group classes are the thing. So I started out with group classes, but I wasn't, for me, my specialty, the little kids. That's my thing. Like that's the age group that I love. I love kids of all ages, but that's what comes most natural for me. It wasn't a whole lot of extra work, a whole lot of thinking. I knew my lessons already. I could just take what I already did every day straight to the platform. And I was like, here's my lesson plan. It's ready. So I did some group classes, and then I thought, I wonder how, one-on-one tutoring will do. And honestly, for me, that's what has taken off like the most, one-on-one tutoring.
On one, okay. So what are your teaching specialties then?
Um, mostly I do reading classes. That seems to be the most popular right now. But I do have like science classes available. Usually the science classes are a lot of fun, so the kids like it. We make it hands-on. So um, I had a weekly ongoing class. I'm not doing that right now at the moment, but I've turned them into like the monthly holiday themed classes. In the summertime, we'll do like a little camp. So just something to switch up things for them, still getting in science content. It's fun. It's not feeling like work for them, but they're learning. So it's great for homeschool kids, kids that need an extra activity, or just kids that are at home in the summer and need something to do. So reading, science, and I've done a little bit of math. And in my kindergarten prep classes, I do teach a little math in that. But reading seems to be the thing that most people are looking for in my age group. So
Age group, yes. Okay. What do you do for training materials? Like, how do you share your materials? Do you make lessons or what do you do?
um, like the materials I use in the class.
Yeah, do you screen share? Do you use books? Do
Um,
you make a PowerPoint? What do you kind of do?
I do screen share a lot. Um, I don't do a lot of PowerPoints, mostly because a lot of these kids that I'm their first Outschool class. They're like, no, I have never done school in the computer. But then again, you also get several kids that are homeschooled. So this is what they do. They'll take a class here, a class there, and that's kind of like some of their extracurriculars for the week, things like that. So a lot of times I actually have materials like letter cards. And
Yes.
I have a slideshow that, does the letter cards, and I have one for blending to read words, but I also try to find moments to have real materials in my hand, because for them to see my movement, it's a little more engaging than them just seeing a slideshow going across the screen. And they're like, this is boring. They don't tell me that, but that's how I feel.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. There's so many different ways to teach and present materials. So when I first started with the ESL, yeah, flashcards, holding up my card, holding up my stick figures, because I only did like level one, basically entry level, zero level stuff. And so they were all the 3 to 5 year old kids too. So you had
Yes.
to be
And
very animated.
yes, animated, anything with a song, just they love to be recognized. They love you to say their name, ask about what, I mean, especially when you get in a group class, how was your day? And then everybody tells you what their dog did and what their brother did. And, so.
Definitely. So now that you've been doing Outschool for a bit now, what kind of advice would you give somebody first starting out as an online teacher?
I think first starting out, the biggest thing is trying to narrow down what you want to teach. And sometimes it's a bit of trial and error. And even now, like I'll throw out new classes on there. I'll be like, I'm going to try this. Like I'm not really an artist at all, but I try to throw out some things with some art activities like directed drawings and things like that. Sometimes, it's just things come and go. People have an interest and then it drops off. So I often throw out new classes, but it's finding what you're good at, because what you're good at is what's going to work for you. The way I see it, you don't want to, work harder. You want to work smarter. So find what you're good at, what you can do, and that's what you need to teach. Because everybody that's on Outschool isn't even like a certified teacher. There are people on there that are artists and they're teaching art classes, or someone that's a musician doing music classes. So it's really amazing to see how broad it is on there. There are so many classes, things you wouldn't think about. And I have a little brother, he's 13 now, but there are classes that he takes on there. And so that's a whole other category for me, but I love to he doesn't like me to be in there, but I like to peek in and listen to his classes. Like, what's that teacher doing? Or what's she teaching? Or, that sort of thing. He was in a language class. He's really interested in foreign languages. Me? I don't know any foreign languages. I'm from Kentucky. This is what I got. But he's so interested in that. So we've done some foreign language classes. And, that's something that I could never teach to someone else because I don't speak that. But it's just amazing to see someone that, might not be a Spanish teacher or a French teacher or a Russian teacher, but that's what they're good at. So they have created this course and they, figured out how to teach this to children. So it's really
Gosh,
awesome.
yeah. Outschool is really cool. We enrolled our son in some classes there. He's done arts, has had fun with his group art class and doing these art projects and stuff like that. So it's cool.
Yeah.
I like Outschool. And there's a lot of different programs out there for people that are looking for that type of teaching.
Yes.
What about like some of the realities, like prep time for you for these types of courses, or getting finding and sourcing students and stuff like that? Did you get a lot of students right off the bat, or are you that lucky person, or did you really have to work
I
for
was
it?
not. Some people, it just seemed like they're like, I have a full class. And I'm like, but and some people, I live in a very small town, very rural area. So I don't have any locals in my class. And I know there are some people that have kids that are in their area that they, take their class. I don't have anyone local. I have actually had my niece and nephew in my class a few times. They enjoy my science classes sometimes. But otherwise, I don't really try to advertise locally. And part of that's teacher guilt. I feel like that's my job, at school, and I would feel terrible charging my students. So but haven't had anyone ask me either. And there have been people reach out to say, would you like to tutor so and so in the summer? I'm like, well, I teach on Outschool. If you're interested, here's my link, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a little tricky for me. But yeah, starting out, some people just seem to luck into students. I just started with my classes and I was like, what do I know? What am I good at? So I started out with a reading class, a science class, and I posted it. And pretty quickly, I got a student or two and kind of got things going. And one of the kids would be like, I'm going to have my friend come to the science class next week. I'm like, yes, you should. So sometimes that happens and it grows. It was a slow growth. It wasn't like I got anything major, but it's just really amazing to me. It just happened. I'll get, new enrollments and it's never a kid that I know. They're from all different places in the country, in the world. I have students from Australia. It's just mind blowing to me. It's just really amazing. And the time zone changes and, I've got this kid in Seattle and this kid in New York and I've got some kids in Australia. So in my mind, I'm like, do you have kangaroos in your backyard? And she turns her camera around to her window and she's like, no, I live in the city. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
but yeah, I think it's just different for everyone starting out. I've never really tried to advertise. I have a little to put it out there, but nothing major. And usually it's in the summertime, my camps, in case there are local kids that might know me that are looking for something to do in the summer. Just something I can offer to them.
okay. Very good. And so are there like how about prep time for those courses and stuff? Like, do you have to do a lot of prep or
Um, I tried not to. So at first I did, and I think that's the big thing is once you know what you're going to teach, and you prep for those lessons. A lot of times when I have ongoing courses like my science courses, um, it's like a rotation. I actually had enough science lessons, 52 for the year, and then I'll start back over. So once you have it done, it's made, you just keep that. It's a bit different with like one-on-one tutoring because I tutor kids from ages 4 to 9, 10 years old. So that's a little bit bigger of an age range, all kids on different reading levels. So it's more, what they need. But I'm not like bragging, but I am a seasoned teacher. So it's like I always write down, I have notes on each kid. So that way the next week we can pick up where we left off. And I know what they need to work on. So it's not a lot of prep work for me. I know what we're doing. We have a similar routine in our tutoring classes. So it just kind of comes natural. But things
I
like,
keep a spreadsheet for mine, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So when it comes to something specific like the science classes, though, it definitely needs a lesson plan. And like I have to do more prep work as far as list of materials, making sure the parents know ahead of time what they need, and making sure I have what I need. Because things have come up before, and I'm like, oh, I'm out of vinegar. What am I going to do?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've had last minute runs to the grocery store.
You know, you are like a travel enthusiast as well. So I'm
Yes.
curious for you. Yeah, I'm always on the road, so my life is a little different with teaching. So I'm really used to teaching and traveling. But for someone with a home base like yourself and a day job as well, how does this teaching and traveling work for you?
So I try to always stay on my schedule. So a lot of times if I know it's a travel day for me, like I'm going to be at the airport or something, and it is probably going to run into my class times, I try to let my parents know ahead of time and get things rescheduled, especially with the one-on-one tutoring classes, because it affects just one family. And it's likely they have chosen that time slot for a reason. So that will give them the opportunity to like reschedule later in the week, and we can work all that out. But for the most part, I haven't had any issues if I do go on a big trip, like if I travel internationally and I know that I'm going to be in Paris and maybe I just need a week off, I'll plan for that ahead of time. So, but for the most part, if I'm in the States, I try to keep on schedule and do everything as I normally would do. Even right now, I'm not at home. So this week is my spring break week. I'm not even at my own house, but I've kept on my Outschool schedule, normal this week and been able to teach all my classes. And it's funny, the kids that I have every week, they notice. They're like, "Where are you? You are not at your house." And I'm like, "How do you know?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really use digital backgrounds either. So
Yeah.
they know. They
Yeah.
say, why is your background different every week?
And
Wow.
they're like, "Why are you in a different room?" And there was one day, I had one class that evening, and it was a one-on-one tutoring class, and I really wasn't feeling well, but I thought I could just pull through, get this class done, then I could rest. And I had been sitting on the couch, and there wasn't anything that I needed to be at the desk for, like spread out. And it was a reading tutoring class, and for that I used some online reading selections and things. So I sat on the couch, but you could see like pictures on the wall behind me. And that little girl, she's been in my class for so long, and she was like, "Are you in your living room? Why are you in your living room?" I said, well, why are you laying in your bed? She was like, well,
Yes,
I guess we
touche.
can. I was like, I guess we can. That's the beauty of it.
That definitely is. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we take care of we do house sitting, so we take care of a lot of people's animals, and so I have a different animal pop in my lap every week sometimes or every month.
Right.
And so the students are always like, wait, is that your dog? And I'm like, yes, or no, because sometimes it's hard to explain it when they don't speak English very well.
Yeah.
So some of my students think I have like 20 different animals.
That's great.
But yeah, so traveling can be interesting. But I'm trying to really, I'm really wondering, what is like the weirdest place you've had to teach from since you travel all the time?
Oh, I think you cut out. I couldn't hear you.
Well, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the weirdest place or the most odd thing place that you've had to teach from since we're getting that subject?
Probably the airport. That's always a tough one too. Like you're like, is my layover going to be on time? Is it gonna, is the plane going to be late? That sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, I think I can squeeze it in. I can do this. So I'll just try to find a spot, pop in some AirPods, and teach.
There you go. All right. So that would be that's interesting. I've never had to teach from an airport. So what do you think are some of the best things about teaching with Outschool then?
Definitely just being able to teach from anywhere. I enjoy being able to teach from home. I mean, I do work all day, but it gives me an opportunity to make extra money doing what I love. I'm not like, I don't have a side gig that I hate. And I'm like, I got to sell this weight loss thing that I don't really believe in. But yeah, and I'm not knocking anybody that does that. But I'm just saying, like, that's not me. That's not my thing. For me, it's teaching. That's what I enjoy. It's what I love doing. It comes natural to me. So when you do enjoy it, I mean, there are evenings I'll go home and I'm tired, but just to be able to be on the computer with kids for 30-minute classes. I usually do 30-minute classes. I enjoy it. It's fun. And after it's over, I'm like, oh, that was so awesome. I love spending time with them. So it really is amazing. And it's nice I can make some extra money on the side and I can teach exactly what I want to teach. That's the beauty of it. Nobody's told me what I have to teach. I don't have to go by any certain curriculum. I can do whatever I want.
So you definitely seem to have a lot of pluses for Outschool. What
I
would be
do.
some of the challenges for teaching with Outschool?
Um, I guess challenges would be, I think the biggest challenge is just finding the class that works for you. Um, I see some people that struggle with that, just getting started, just deciding what to teach. And I don't know if that's something at all age levels, because I've really stayed with the younger kids. With the one-on-one tutoring, it's allowed me to expand a little up to 9 and 10-year-olds, which is really awesome because I get whole like different conversations and a perspective on their lives and what's going on at school and all of that. But I think it's the hard thing is just narrowing it down to decide what you're going to teach, what people actually want to learn, because you've got to sell it to the parents. You have to have a class that some people are on there just for a fun extracurricular class. So you may be able to offer that fun extracurricular class to them and it may be great for you. Or you have some that really want that education. They want the content. They want, all those things. So you've got to be able to present that. So it's just finding those people that are interested in you. And once you get started and you have a class and you get some reviews, it really like things seem to grow. It always shocks me whenever I get that email that says you have a new learner. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's always exciting for me.
Oh, that sounds so cool. So then, all right, from your perspective, then, I know you've worked with some people helping them get on board with Outschool. What's the application process like?
I think it's changed a little from when I've applied, but not a whole lot. It's your basic information. You have to make an intro video, and I think mine is quite hilarious. That was back when I was new to the teaching online thing, and I still do not enjoy videos of myself at all. So when I made that video, I have not changed it since. I was like, we're just going to stick with that for now. But you have to do a video, and now I think you can actually submit your credentials in the beginning if you have a teaching certificate or any degrees, and Outschool labels you differently. So parents can see that, because I know there are, since online teaching has become such a thing, there are people that are at charter schools and there are grant programs, and they can get classes paid for. But you have to be one of those teachers that, has a certain credential or whatever, and Outschool will kind of label you. So that is something else that can help you get, certain classes, and get some students in there.
Yeah. So then what would be some advice for applying then? Like what's the hardest thing that for you, at least when you applied?
For me, the hardest thing was the video. I'm the kind of girl, I'm like, I'm just gonna dive in and do it. It was pretty basic as far as like personal information. You do have to pass a background check, which, for me, I wasn't concerned. I was already a public school teacher. Um, but the background check is just, you fill it out online, and they, let you know when it's complete. And I think it does take a few days, maybe up to a week. And then you make that intro video, and you have like you have a profile. So you want to make that look, enticing. You want to make it look good to parents. Some people list on there if they have degrees, if they have a bachelor in something or a master's. Even though you submit those to Outschool, they'll put that in their headings or with their name. So, it makes you look a little more professional. And especially when you get in the upper grades and you have, those more specific classes, you're teaching science or languages or technology, any of those things, you can show, I have the degree for this, I've been trained in this, and then they can read your info about what you've taught before and that sort of thing. So, I mean, for me, it didn't seem like a hard process because I was already a teacher. It's about what you do. So I already had, that experience to list on there.
Do you want to show us your profile? Show people what you're talking about and how it's laid
Oh
out?
gosh. I guess I could. Let's
So
see.
last time I looked at an Outschool profile, it showed some of the lessons that you taught and stuff like that too, correct? So parents can
Um,
kind of see what you teach.
so, oh wait. And there's two sides, like if you're an educator and you have kids with classes. So like
Oh,
you have a parent profile and an educator profile. So let's see. Now I'm nervous because
oh, don't be
I
don't be nervous.
don't know what my
Every,
profile looks like. Okay. So,
see, there we go.
oh, it's showing the parent side again. Let's see. Okay. Preview. Oh, there's that video.
There's your video.
Gosh.
And
I
yeah, see, look how animated you are. It
yeah,
looks like an
made bachelor's
Instagram video.
degree. So yeah, and they can message you directly. And I get a lot of messages, parents asking about a class, or is this class good for my child? They're having trouble with, whatever in reading or math, and is it a good fit? And you can let them know. They can follow you so they see if you post new classes. Here's my little about me. Well, it looks like a long about me. And there's my calendar with some of my classes. Shows when I joined, so they know how long you've been on there. Kind of like having a bank account with your checks. It's got the date, and reviews are on here, so good
Well, that's
reviews.
awesome. Yeah, look at all those.
And then they show
And then
your
it shows
calendar
your
so they
calendar.
can see kind of what you have going on. And I think mine looks blank. Like I've got my summer calendar I've been working on, so it shows I have summer classes, and a lot of these are camps, like kindergarten prep. People are looking for something a little more long term, so they can feel their child's summer. But yeah.
Very cool. The classes and groups, different activities. Okay,
Yeah.
that's really
So
cool.
it does give them a lot of insight on what you're teaching, and they get an idea about who you are and how silly you are. I told you that video was rough.
That's all right.
Oh,
Making videos is it's a challenge and it's a skill that people have to learn. And as a uh, public school teacher, I'm sure they didn't teach you. You didn't really have to do a video for your job.
But no, this
So
is
unless
like, and that's definitely a challenge for me. It's a new thing. And um, some people it comes natural. They're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And I do much better with it now, like at school. We have done some things. Then we are like posted bedtime stories for the kids at Christmas time. And I'm like, sure, I'll make a video of me reading a story and post it. No big deal. It's like that now. And I'm like, oh, I can record one time and I'm done. But it's easy also to watch yourself and pick it apart. So yeah,
it's really easy to do that. Try not to watch all of my old videos too much, but
exactly.
but so okay. I also know that you have your two blogs and your travel with me stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I started out with a teacher blog, and I had started it right before the pandemic started. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, what kind of content am I going to post now? So it definitely got a little tougher. But I posted about things that we were doing online and how we were doing things with our kids, because there were people that, teachers that were really struggling, and they're like, what can we do to reach these families? How can we reach out to these kids? So, and everyone had different guidelines and restrictions. Luckily, I'm in a small town, so we were able to, have those materials ready. We would set up a table outside, and our parents could pick up materials. So we were still able to do those activities, and then I could write about it and post about it. So things look very different. But I started out, just with the teacher blog, and I would post about our activities in the classroom. And then things slowed down a little for me with the teacher side of the blog when I got COVID myself. I was very sick, ended up hospitalized. Um, Luckily, I survived. Here I am.
Oh,
But I was off work about 4 months because of
four
COVID. And
months. Wow.
on the third day of school that year, and it went through our whole classroom. Like, everyone had it in kindergarten. It was terrible. It was an absolute nightmare. I mean, I was in the hospital close to my deathbed, and I was worried about, those kids. I was like, are they sick? Are they okay? Are they in the hospital? And, worried to death about them. But, luckily I made it. I came home. And I slowed down a little then. I was like, when it's time, I'll pick it back up. And it was definitely, having COVID was a life-changing event for me. Um, Gives you a whole new perspective on things. So that's kind of when I started the travel side of the blog too. Um, I started traveling a lot more. It was something I always wanted to do, but it was also one of those things that I kept putting aside. And I had that realization that you have one life to live, and I'm going to live it. So
Wow.
I booked my first trip to Greece, and I was like, let's go. So I've been out of the country, like to the Caribbean, but for me, flying across the ocean was a, pretty big feat. And I started out, it was a solo trip. I met up with a group there. So of course, everyone thought I was crazy. I was like, no, I'm just going to Greece. I'll be fine. I'm meeting people there. They're like, oh, so you know the people going. I'm like, no, I don't. But I met lots of lifelong friends, still talk with them, still travel with them. It's definitely led to other trips, which is really awesome. So it was an awesome trip. And that's kind of when my travel blog started. I was like, I want to write about this. I want to share about it. Um, just because you're a teacher and you're not rich doesn't mean you can't travel. That's also, a hard thing. I mean, when you're a public school teacher, we're not rich. We're not getting rich. So Outschool definitely funds my travel, which is really awesome. So I try to, travel I do some domestic trips throughout the year, and then I try to do my international trips in the summertime when I have more time, which is really awesome. That's another perk to being a teacher. People don't get that time off, and I couldn't imagine any other job. I might find a job that would pay me more money, but would I get my summer off?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's the beauty of it. But yeah, that's kind of where my travel blog started. And I changed things with my Instagram, and I've posted a little of my teaching and a little of my traveling. Been going a little back and forth, and I really love planning trips. So then I tossed in the travel agent business. I was like, what is something else I could do that I really love? And so I started the travel agent business in addition to teaching. Lots of people that I know, local families, have been like, hey, can you help us book a cruise? I'm like, yes, I can.
I can.
Yeah. So that's been really awesome. People that have seen me travel, and I love that they support me. Like they're like, I'm so glad that you are just living your life. I'm so glad to see you happy. And I'm like, thank you. Like I so appreciate that. That means a lot. And they're like, I love seeing your pictures because that's always something that's tricky for me. Like, everybody doesn't get the opportunity to travel. But people, they're like, we want to see where you went. We want to see what you ate. We want to see what you did. I'm like, okay. So on my Facebook page, my personal page, I always share my travels and I always get, positive feedback. And they're always like, we love watching where you go. Will you help us book a trip? I'm like, yes, I would love to. I will plan everything. So, and I think that's another thing teachers love to organize and plan. So it all goes hand in hand.
True, that's true. Yeah, I was looking at your travel blog. It's really cool. I like the travel with me or let's travel with me part. That's pretty cool that you can kind of mix the two like that.
Yeah, and I've started doing like some group trips, and a lot of people that go are teachers, which is awesome. I've met so many teachers that are traveling, and I'm like, oh, you're a teacher too. So it's really awesome. I was in Atlanta at the airport a few days ago, and I met a lady that was a retired teacher, and she was like, oh, I'm a retired teacher. I'm like, really? I said, what did you teach? She said, kindergarten. I said, oh my gosh. So that's really awesome. And she had traveled to so many amazing places. So we talked about all the things, all the kids, and all the places she traveled to. And it was really awesome. So, I mean, I've met so many people and just the connections, and several of the teachers I still travel with. And there's actually a teacher that works in my building, and she's several years younger than me. So, like, we didn't ever go to school together or college or anything. But she went with me last summer when I went to London, Paris, and Rome. And she was on that trip. And then a few months later, she was like, hey, do you want to go to Ireland for fall break? I said, yes. So she said, really? That easy? I said, yeah. I said, I want to go to Ireland. And she was like, I found this really good deal. And I was like, okay, let's see it. So she showed me the trip and I said, let's go. So we booked it.
That's awesome. Well, what would you say is your most amazing trip so far then?
um, Probably, I don't know. Greece was
I know
really
it's hard to
amazing.
pick.
For me, Greece was a place that I didn't know I needed to visit until I was there. It is so funny how that happened. It was never on my radar that I need to go to Greece. Greece is where I need to go. I don't know why. I had just never thought about it. And I was going through personal things in my life. I went through a divorce, and um, that's the first trip I booked. I was scrolling through Facebook one day, and in a group, it was a teacher group, a girl I didn't know posted about the Greece trip.
Oh,
And she was like, any teachers out there interested in going to Greece? And I was like, me. And she messaged me, and I said, okay, let's book it. It was, a very spontaneous thing. And I don't think of
nice.
myself as a spontaneous person, but she showed me the itinerary and everything and the pricing. And I was like, I've got time to make payments. Let's do it. And she was like, okay. So that was really a big one for me. I mean, I felt like that was really when I got to spread my wings and I really, got to try it out. And I was like, I really do love to travel. This is really what I love to do. And so then, actually, on my flight home, when I was in Greece, we had a layover in Paris. And Paris was another place like, yeah, the Eiffel Tower's there and it's amazing, but I didn't know I wanted to go there like so bad. But when I landed in Paris and I had a very short layover, like an hour, and they were doing construction and I had to run through the airport and it was crazy anyway. I was like, I have to come back. I have to come back and see the Eiffel Tower because I could see it when I landed, but it was so far away.
Uh,
So that's what led me to last summer's trip, London, Paris, and Rome. Yeah, so it's totally, I don't know. I just go with it sometimes. I'm like, okay. So this summer had my trip planned when I came back, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and the Czech Republic. So
Ooh,
yeah, as soon as we got back, I was like, okay, this is where I'm going next. Who's in?
nice. So yeah, well, it sounds like you've got an adventurous life and you can use the teaching to pay for it.
Exactly. That's yes.
So,
Oh.
and you don't have to spend all day at some place you hate just to finance doing, just living.
Exactly, because I love the kids. I couldn't imagine not teaching. That's something that fills my cup. It lights me up. I love the little kids. I do. I mean, I love kids of all ages. I coach volleyball, and that always gives me a little dose of the older girls.
Wow.
And then I'm like, wow, this is why I teach kindergarten. But yeah, I mean, just kids are just amazing to me. So being able to do what I love and then use that free time and save my money to do the other things that I love, it's really awesome.
That is really awesome. Well, do you have anything you'd like to share with some people that are thinking about getting into Outschool or any of this other stuff? Um,
So let's see. I'll go back to my Outschool. So, and I'll share this link later and we could put it in the files, but um anybody, I can use my referral link and to sign up on Outschool. And there will be a personal link or there's a referral code 11R KGHXS, crazy code. But this is something that they can use my referral link to sign up. And when they earn their first $100, it just gives me a little kickback for it. But also in the meantime, it's a way that I can help them get started. They can contact me and we can do a 15-minute, like a coaching call, and I can help them get started, fill out the application, or if they've done the application and they're struggling, like, what do I do now? Just help them narrow it down, figure out what class to teach, what's going to work for them, that sort of thing. Because I love helping people too. Like that's the other part of it. I mean, it's just helping other people get started and, just seeing them have a happy life and be successful and do the things they enjoy doing. That's what it's all about. So,
it really is. And for those of you that are watching that are uh, on the cusp, do you want to do this? Do you not want to do this? Uh, try it. Take her up on her offer with the code and some of her time. When I first started, I had my own back and forth for months hesitation. And it was because of a mentor like Heather here that I was able to get past that and actually get into it and become super successful teaching with children online. And if it wasn't for like people that are like Heather here who are willing to give some of their time to help you pass those hurdles, it would be a little bit more difficult. There wouldn't be as good of teachers out there. So this gives you that opportunity to just be successful from the jump.
yeah. And I mean, it's always a good thing when you have someone that has done it to bounce your ideas off of. I mean, just like I found this random girl on Instagram. I didn't know her.
Yes.
I was able she helped me get started. I was able to message her and be like, what did you do in this situation? That sort of thing. And it was really awesome just to have someone to talk it over with and talk it through and feel confident that you're doing the right thing. So, yeah.
Definitely. And how about people who want to follow you on your travel blog or anything like that? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I'll show my travel blog. So it is thetalltravelingteacher.com. And this is kind of a newer
Look at that
website for
photo.
me. That was one of my favorite parts of the Eiffel Tower trip. When we went, there were 5 of us girls, and we all 5 did the pictures together. So it was really awesome. It was just a really cool experience. But got some posts on there, just some info about me. It does show my Instagram things at the bottom too, which I think is really cool. And if you want help planning a trip, I've got links here, a way to contact me. And then the teacher blog side is here. And I have several posts going back, just to see things. I've got some travel things. And this is about when I thought I need a travel blog. I need something different. So, but I love posting. I see these pictures of myself. I was trying to get to something with kids.
I don't know. I just saw the one with you holding all the money.
Yeah, right. That was the first time I had euros, and I was like, "What?" A lot of this was during COVID. Well, but it sorts it by month. So I do have like activities, and oh, they're like art. So yeah, these were some of the teachers that I worked with, and we talked about activities that we did. We had a little video. This was during COVID, and just things like that, things I actually do in my classroom. um I'm not like all glamorous like some of these people on the internet. I'm like, here's what we really did. It was awesome. The kids loved it. So yeah. But, yeah, and I've got a little about me, um things about travel, and I think the freebies, yeah, about Outschool, just helping you design your own Outschool course. So just a little help there. Yeah.
So that's very good. All right. Well, do you have any parting words for anybody today?
um I wish everyone the best. Do all the things that you love that make you happy. And if anybody's ready for Outschool, just let me know.
Sounds great. Well, thank you for being with us today, Heather. It was excellent and great to get to know you. I'm sure some people are going to be reaching out to you for more information, traveling, teaching, all of the above,
All the things.
all of the things. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we will be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.